word. Why? If you can answer that for yourself
I answer that every day.
every day, it changes what you do.
I say, why?
Why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a time in my marriage we were very young. I told you all, we got married in college, so we were still kids figuring out how to be grown-ups. And we were living together at the time, and my husband back then really loved playing on those stupid PlayStations. Do you know what I'm talking about? These little gaming systems. Oh my gosh. I mean, he just loved his gaming system, and his best friend lived next door. So they used to come over every day, and they're playing games to all ungodly hours of the night. I mean, I just used to wonder sometimes, what did I sign up for? I mean, it used to irritate me to levels I cannot even begin to convey appropriately, okay? So I remember one day, this was sort of after really coming to an understanding of what it is that I was purposed to do. And when you know what you're designed to do, how you respond to the things around you changes. So he came home, and we had, both of our kids are almost the same age. Mine and Chelsea's, her son and my daughter are almost the same age. So we all lived in the house together. So when I say we were roommates both before I got married and after I got married, because her husband was active duty. So he was gone. So because we were both broke, in order to not have to live in a very rough area and have to be worried about our children's safety, we decided to combine our household incomes to be able to afford to live in a slightly nicer environment. So it meant that married, in my early years, first 4 years of marriage, I had a roommate, and she had a son. And that teaches you all kinds of things, but that's a sermon for a whole nother day, okay? So one day, so he comes in, and the kids apparently had been playing in the room, in the great room that we had, and they must have stepped on the PlayStation, and they cracked one of the games. And let me tell you, he was not a happy camper about that. So he comes in, and his best friend, and he was home for lunch for just a little while, and his best friend had saw him when he was getting out of the car, and he comes in the house, and I guess they figured they'd play for just a little while, just, you know, a little stress relief before he went back to work. And I was in the kitchen, and I was cooking something for him for lunch. And he opens up the PlayStation, and he sees that it's broken, and he asks me about it. And I said, hey, I didn't know that they stepped on it. I didn't know what had happened. It looked fine to the eye. And he's like, why didn't you pick it up? So of course, on the inside, I'm thinking to myself, why am I responsible for picking up this thing? I wasn't playing with it. I don't even like the thing. I'd toss it out the window if I could, but I'm kind enough not to do such things. So I said, hey, I didn't know. And then he says, well, then what did I marry you for? See, and just like any other woman, your whole face fell off, okay? Your whole face falls off, okay? So I had that moment. Now, I would be completely appropriate to come up his back and down his front. I would be within my right to do so, because not only did he say it, he said it in front of his best friend. But I paused for a second, and I had to ask myself this question.
Why?
Whatever I'm going to respond with next, I need to know why I'm saying what I'm saying. And so my response was, the food will be ready in just a few seconds. And I said nothing else. And he had his, he went on to doing whatever he was doing, and I just focused on what I was doing. And he leaves, and he goes back to work. And not 15 minutes after he leaves, his best friend comes back. And he said, I have to apologize for my brother. He refers to him as brother. I have to apologize for my brother. That was just the stupidest thing. I know he was mad, but that was just, I don't even know how you contained yourself. I'm surprised you didn't say anything. And I said to him, I said, you know what? I said, see, when he's not with me, he's with you. And there are going to be young women that find him attractive. And you're going to be his only counsel when I'm not around. If I responded the way I could have responded, what would your counsel have been to him when these other girls are attracted and trying to pursue him? But because of how I conduct myself, you and I both know that there are moments where you will have the opportunity to say, don't mess that up because you have a good woman at home. And he said, I didn't even know they made women like you anymore. And he left. That was the end of that. But the why is that I knew that the mission was to have a beautiful marriage, and that had to be greater than the moment. And when we're having certain experiences, we can't forget what the mission is. Why are you doing what you're doing every day?
And that's what I asked myself.